The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch going into turn 2. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's going to be the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can lift it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
ISOWC IndyCar season beginning to wind down. We welcome you to the first race in the ISOWC IndyCar series on the road course in the DW12. We welcome you to the 2014 ISOWC Indy Grand Prix of Ohio, powered by And1 Designs. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Will Vincent here on RaceSpotTV, bringing you coverage all race long. You can find me on Twitter, if you would really like to do so, at Will Vincent. Also, facebook.com/I am Will Vincent as well, if you'd like to keep in contact with me. Final moments of practice currently going on right now. You can see 25 seconds left on the play clock. Pole position for today is held by Michael Dinkle. Having a look at him on your screens right now. He has, of course, been absolutely dominant this season on the road courses. He is looking to continue his 100% record in the ISOWC IndyCar Series on the road course this season, but he's got a little bit of a challenge here today from Joshua Chin, who line up alongside him in that front row of the grid. Checkered flag is out. These guys will now be heading themselves down to the race grid for the start of this event. Joshua Chin was the fastest guy in qualifying. These guys are literally about to go racing here today for 58 laps around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And we're going to run through your race grid immediately. And it is Michael Dinkle starting on pole position here today. Qualifying time of 1 minute 8.470. Joshua Chin lines up alongside him in that front row of the grid, driving for Banshee Autosport. Dennis Garise of Vortex Sim Racing inside of row number 2. Timo Isinyemi on the outside. Moving on to page 2, Randall Shenanworth in the 5th place. Nigel Marneef in 6th. Robert Grosser, Michael Armstrong in row number 4. And then it will be Eric Davis and Benjamin Gregory in the 5th row of the grid. Then Christian Manson and Niall McBride in row number 6. Martin Nagel-Kirken and Pierre Bourdon line up on row number 7. Michael DeJong and Tim Miller in row number 8. Dave Jinks, Michael Thompson, Mike Owen round out your 19-car field, making the trip to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And there you see that pace car on the racetrack right now. So then, a little bit of a different start here. It's going to be a rolling start. You will see that pace car in just 1 moment's time bring itself down onto pit road. Then these guys will actually do the first couple of corners with them at pace speed. You'll see Nigel Marneef and Joshua Chin about to swap positions. You see they're doing that now, and then they're actually going to get going once they get themselves out of the keyhole, which is turn number 2 on the racetrack, and we'll get this race green as they come down towards the China Bend. So there you see field lining up 2 by 2 right now as they're working themselves out of corner number 1, working themselves down this back straight away. So there you see Nigel Marnie from the inside of row number 1. Joshua Chin alongside him. Cars also say have got 10 uses of the push to pass. That's new for the ISOWC IndyCar Series. We'll talk about this as that race unfolds. You see the cars working themselves out of the keyhole. And the 12th round of the 2014 ISOWC IndyCar Series will start right now! Dinkle getting the jump there over Joshua Chin as they work themselves down towards turn number 4 on the racetrack. The China bends for the first time. There is Michael Dinkle leading the field. A little bit of two-wide racing going on behind, but it looks as though everyone is going to get through those first couple of corners without incident. Let's have a look as the cars storm past this section of the racetrack. And it does look as though that everyone, you see, is just about getting through that section of the racetrack. Okay, difficult opening laps, of course, here. But everyone is through the first half of the racetrack. Go underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge. Michael Dinkle is leading the way right now. There is your race leader, Michael Dinkle. It is actually a lap time race here, so we are going to get the lap count out there. You see, working ourselves now on lap number 2 of 58 in this event. Michael Dinkle, at the conclusion of lap number 1, actually have been able to get past. Dennis Grease has been able to get past Joshua Chin, but here comes Joshua Chin back again on the inside. He's going to go side by side through the keyhole. Will Joshua Chin be able to get this move done? There you see Joshua Chin back up into that second position in the King and Chin's production car. And Joshua Chin now moving himself back up the racetrack once again. So then, Chin losing a position in the early going. He's now been able to get himself back up into that second position. But Dinkle, there he is on the racetrack, does lead this event right now. And he's leading it by 2.3 seconds on the racetrack. We know just how fast Michael Dinkle can be in this series. He has run every single road course so far in the ISOWC for 2014. Unprecedented level of dominance for Michael Dinkle in that number 10 Vortex Sim Racing car as he comes to complete lap number 2 of this event. We'll get confirmation of the gap between himself and Joshua Chin as they come past the start-finish line. It's a 1 minute 10.475 there for Michael Dinkle, and gap is that 2.3 seconds on the racetrack. There you see Dinkle, and there you see Joshua Chin as he's got Dennis Grease behind him as they work themselves down towards the keyhole once again. So then, having a look a little bit further back, everyone is still circulating on the racetrack. We had no real early casualties. Now McBride actually just spinning his car around there. He'll get that refired down at turn number 1. We saw a couple of drivers with issues on this on Friday night in the iRacing Road Series race, and we've got it again. Let's have a look and see what happened with Niall McBride. We'll ride on board of him coming down into corner number 1. And will he just touch that yellow line? He touched that yellow line and that sausage curb, spinning that car around. And he's having to wait, and he'll get his car back out on the racetrack. But he's classified right now in last place on the racetrack. Right now, Shenworth right now is involved in a little bit of action as he is trying to run with Dennis Grease on the racetrack. This is the battle for third place right now, and Grease has fallen behind Joshua Chin quite heavily the last 2 to 3 laps of this event, ever since Chin was able to get past. Shenworth in that New World Sim Sport cars, riding on board with him, is about 0.6 of a second back, gets a good run through the keyhole there. As I said, these drivers will have 10 uses of the push to pass, which basically will give them an additional horsepower boost, which is really useful through this straightaway here. It lasts up to 15 seconds or until you get onto the brakes, and these guys will have to be careful about how they use that over this 58 lap event. But Shenworth continues his battles. Eric Davis there is on pit road. So Eric Davis is on pit road getting some repairs to his race car, and this looks to be a 13.9 second stop there for Eric Davis. He is out and away. Niall McBride is on pit road as well. He's going to get himself 4 fresh tyres. Potentially got himself a flat spot there after he spun his car down at turn number 1. But Niall McBride, early pit stop for him as well as Eric Davis. And we've got Tim Miller as well on pit road. Some substantial damage to his car. He was classified as out of the race by the looks of things. So then, as it stands right now, I'm going to bring the ticker up along the bottom of your screen. There you see Dinkle leads by 2 seconds over Joshua Chin. Last time by, Chin had a 1 minute 10.141. You compare that to Michael Dinkle's last lap time, that was a 1 minute 10.418. So Chin actually is faster than Dinkle at this stage of the event. But one thing that you need to bear in mind with this car is that you have to preserve your tyres. Use too much of them earlier, the fall off on it is just so dramatic, and I'm sure that Dinkle is just managing his tyres through this first run. A number of different strategies as well potentially today. Some drivers will probably do 2 stops, some drivers might consider doing 3 very short stops over the course of this event. As we've got Dave Jinks now on pit road. It looks like he's got a little bit of damage to his car. Let's have a look at the pit stop time for him. It's a long pit stop there for Dave Jinks. There's some substantive repairs to that broken aero number 76 machine. It looks as though he is going to be called many laps down once he gets back out onto the racetrack. Martin Nagel-Kirkin right now involved in a little bit of a battle on the racetrack in that OMR sim racing car, currently chasing down Pierre Bourdon, who is in turn chasing down Michael de Jong as these guys battle for position, and all 3 of them are separated by no more than a second on the racetrack. There is Pierre Bourdon in that Nikon number 92 Hornet SSR racing machine as Dave Jinks brings his car back out onto the racetrack. But you see right now Pierre Bourdon is trying to close down to the rear of Michael de Jong in this battle for the 8th position on the racetrack. Bourdon getting a good run there out of the keyhole, but a little bit loose on exit. That's going to make things a little bit difficult for him as he comes under pressure from the 82 car of Martin Nagel-Kirkin as they work themselves back down towards the China bends. Once again, those 3 cars are very closely separated on the racetrack. There's Michael de Jong. There is a gap between himself and Pierre Bourdon, 7/10 of a second as it stands right now. And then the gap from Bourdon to Nagel-Kirkin is just 6/10 of a second on the racetrack. Timo Isinyemi is involved in a battle right now with Randy Chenoweth in this battle for P3, 4, 5 on the racetrack. And having a look actually at Isinyemi, he's got some good speed here. Working himself through turn 1. There's a little bit of traffic already coming into play here. You've got Niall McBride, of course, scored laps down. You've got Dave Jinks scored laps down. And these guys, you see, that's Niall McBride just getting out of the way there of one of these cars. And he's going to allow Timo Isinyemi to go past him as well. There you see, as they work themselves down the back straightaway once again. But Isinyemi did lose out by about 4/10 there, as he had to wait until after the keyhole to get himself past Niall McBride. Isinyemi running himself right now in that 5th position on the racetrack, trying to close down Randy Chenoweth, who still runs in that 4th position. Let's go back to this battle then. Pierre Bourdon now all over the rear of Michael de Jong in this battle for P7, 8, 9 on the racetrack. Having a look from the rear of Michael de Jong as he continues along the way in that Madcap Racing team. A little bit of contact there with Pierre Bourdon. That is going to allow Martin Nagel-Kirkin to go past as they work themselves underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge. And Pierre Bourdon there losing a position. We'll get ourselves a replay of that. As you see there is Bourdon. He did make a little bit of contact, and there you see Martin Nagel-Kirkin then looking down to his inside, was able to get the position done, and Pierre Bourdon potentially with a little bit of front wing damage there as well. So he is now scored in the 9th position on the racetrack. We stay on board with Pierre Bourdon. You can see there is a little bit of crumpling to that front wing. We know that these wings are a lot sturdier than they were on the IR05, but Bourdon right now is going to have to hope that he can get his car to his first pit stop without any further damage in that number 92 Nikon car as they continue along. These 3 are still separated by no more than 2 seconds on the racetrack. I tell you one thing though, Joshua Chin has caught up to the rear of Michael Dinkle. There you see your race leader, Michael Dinkle, coming down to complete lap number 8 of this race, and there you will see right behind him is Joshua Chin. The gap is now just 1 second on the racetrack between these 2 drivers, less than 1 second, as they work themselves through the keyhole one more time. So, last time by, Joshua Chin did a 1 minute 10.371. Compare that to 1 minute 10.7 Michael Dinkle did that last time by. Dinkle is under some serious pressure right now as we ride on board with Joshua Chin. Keeping an eye on his speed. He's very good for this section of the racetrack in that number 93 Banshee Autosport car. But he is catching Dinkle in a hurry. Of course, catching is one thing. Passing can be another here at Mid-Ohio. And Chin's got to be careful he doesn't get too aggressive. Use too many of those push to passes early in the race, which is then potentially make him a sitting duck at the end of this event. But Chin is working very strong right now. A little bit loose over those curbs, however, as he completed his 10th lap of the race. Sorry, 9th lap of the race. Martin Nagel-Kirkin still involved in that battle with Mikel de Jong. There you see de Jong in that number 5 machine as they work themselves. Those three cars still separated by no more than a couple of car lengths each. As we have a look from the rear once again of Mikel de Jong in that Madcap Racing Team car, and he's still got Nagel-Kirkin behind him. Of course, Nagel-Kirkin was able to get himself past Pierre Bourdon a couple of laps to go after the contact between Bourdon and de Jong. As they work themselves, you see this time actually a much better run out of the keyhole for Nagel-Kirkin, but it just ended up being that de Jong was able to get on the power when he needed to and keep that momentum as you see those three cars continuing their battle on the racetrack. Just half a second separating de Jong and Nagel-Kirkin right now, and then the gap from Nagel-Kirkin to Bourdon is pretty much just as slim as we will go back on board with Nagel-Kirkin as he continues along. Now this is that area where Bourdon ran into the rear of the Madcap Racing driver of de Jong, and it's just this section of the racetrack here that I don't think that de Jong is as strong at all. And this is what caused that bottlenecking, but he's just got the speed he needs in a straight line. A little bit of a wiggle that time, actually, from de Jong, which is going to allow Nagel-Kirkin to catch up just a little bit as they're going to complete their 10th lap of the race. So far then, biggest movers and shakers in this race. Shenanworth is up 1 position. De Jong is up 8 spots since the drop of the green flag. Nagel-Kirkin and Bourdon each up 5 positions since the drop of the green flag here today. Your biggest losers, well, you got Armstrong out. Oh no, something's happened to Martin Nagel-Kirkin. Let's go on board with him. I think he just got loose there as he worked himself through the keyhole. We'll get ourselves a replay of that. So riding on board with Nagel-Kirkin, and yeah, the car just snaps loose on him, and there you will see Pierre Bourdon going past. Nagel-Kirkin getting loose and doing all of that hard work he's done so far in this race. Now down into the 10th spot, 11th spot by the looks of it on the racetrack. Get another look here as they work themselves through the keyhole, and just here, car snaps. You see brake discs locking up as he tries to avoid a full-on spin, losing positions as he does so. Nagel-Kirkin now is down the field, but this battle will continue with Joshua Chin and Michael Dinkle in this battle for the race lead. The gap has stabilized now. Joshua Chin is in that dirty air, so he might have to consider going off sequence, off strategy to try and find a way past Dinkle, because he did at the start of this race have much better race pace. Of course, he might have used too much of his tyres, getting back past Dennis Garis and closing that gap down to Dinkle, which is as high as 3 seconds by the conclusion of lap number 2. We ride on board with Chin in that Banshee Autosport car, and this time by it does look as though he's just a little bit slower than Dinkle as they're going to complete lap number 12 of this event. So then confirmation last time by, it was a 1 minute 10.9 for Joshua Chin. Almost a second slower than his fastest lap of the race. Dinkle, a 1 minute 10.8. So they're both losing time compared to their comparative fastest lap of the race. You will notice that Dinkle, his fastest lap of the race so far, is about 3/10 slower than what we've seen from Joshua Chin. That could turn into Dinkle's favour a little bit later on, as we have that whole hare and the tortoise sort of thing, as these tyres begin to drop off. Looking from the rear of Michael Dinkle right now, and he's looking incredibly strong. That gap is back down, however, So about 0.8 of a second on the racetrack. This is your battle for the race lead. So Dinkle right now leads this race by 0.8 of a second over Joshua Chin. Joshua Chin has a 10.1 second gap over Dennis Garis. Garis really has faded after getting that good start to this event, then fell back behind Joshua Chin. There is Garis just coming through the trees right now. Gap between himself and Randy Chenoweth is 4 seconds on the racetrack right now. And there you see Chenoweth as he continues along. And he has got Timo Isinyemi just about 1 second back as we zoom in on that. There you see Randy Chenoweth. There you see Timo Isinyemi. Isinyemi in turn has about a 3.5 second advantage right now over Nigel Marneef. And Isinyemi runs himself in the 5th position on the racetrack right now. To finish running through your top 10, you've got Nigel Marneef, who's running in that 6th spot right now. He's got an 11-second advantage over Michael De Jong, just coming into our shot here. And then De Jong now has a 5-second gap over Pierre Bourdon. After all these incidences that have happened, Bourdon just coming into your view here, he is, and he has a 3-second advantage over Christian Manson, who runs in the 9th position right now. And then Nagel Kirken right behind Manson right now, and they round out your top 10. Let's go on board then. Here comes Nagel Kirken looking down to the inside. Will he get that job done over Christian Manson? And the answer is going to be Nagel Kirken will have that inside line. He gets that pass complete down into the China bench, overcooks the corner just a little bit, but looks as though that he's going to be able to keep that one going. Nagel Kirken back up into the 9th position after he had that spin a couple of laps ago, and another one there for Nagel Kirken. Losing those 2 positions once again. Get ourselves a replay of that. So then, this is Nagel Kirken just working himself now out of the China bench. You see, car just gets a little bit loose, catches, no, he doesn't catch a white line, but then that car is just off balance. You will see here that he just has a couple of cars going past him. Martin Nagel Kirken now down into the 11th spot on the racetrack. Running on board with Joshua Chin, that gap has now come down to get this 0.5 of a second on the racetrack. It is as close as it has ever been. And this is actually the most difficult race that Dinkle has had so far on the roadside. Normally, he's just driving away with it. This time, Joshua Chin, Chin gets a little bit loose there out of the final corner. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths of a second. We did see someone yesterday in the iRacing.com Road Series Strength for Field race lose out of that final corner, causing a massive 4-car pileup. Joshua Chin very lucky to avoid hitting that inside wall here today. As he continues, he might just actually get on the bottom now to see if he can close some of that deficit back. The gap is about 0.4 of a second on the racetrack, really closing up to the rear of Michael Dinkle. It does look as though he's on the bottom, not quite close enough though to make the pass. Timo Isinyemi still continues his battle at the same time with Randy Chenoweth in this battle for what is the 4th position on the racetrack. There's Chenoweth in the RaceSpot car. There's the True Racer Hitachi machine of Isinyemi as they continue their duel on the racetrack, battling for 4th and 5th positions on the racetrack. And there you see the gap is about 0.6 of a second as it stands right now. Having a look from the rear of Randy Chenoweth's car, and you can see just haunting is Timo Isinyemi right now as we're working ourselves on lap number 17 now of 58. These guys still on lap number 16, of course. They are scored a little bit further back from your race leader, about 18 seconds to the rear right now. So, the number 50 car, Randy Chenoweth, still has Timo Isinyemi right behind him. This is actually bringing Nigel Marneef into play again. Marneef's last lap time, there he is in that Magnus car. He did himself a 1 minute 11.7 that last time by. Compare that to Timo Isinyemi, a 1 minute 12.1. Randy Chenoweth, a 1 minute 12.2. So, as these two continue to scrap, and Isinyemi's being held up a little bit by Chenoweth, Nigel Marneef is coming into the picture right now in this overall battle for 4th place on the racetrack. Joshua Chin stays in line for the time being with Michael Dinkel. Now, I wouldn't be a little bit surprised if this could be a game changer as we're having a look from Michael Dinkel. Got a little bit of lap traffic to deal with right now as he works himself out the final corner. There you see, getting himself past Eric Davis. And the Vortex Sim Racing car of Dinkel comes through turn number 1 and continues his journey along as he's now got a clear track ahead of him. This will help him for the next lap or so as they work themselves back down towards the keyhole. You see though, Chin has been able to get back past that lap traffic of Davis as well. Gap is up now to about 1 second on the racetrack again. Chin lost out heavily there, having to fall in line down into turn number 1. Lap traffic can be a huge factor in this event. So then, retirees so far in this race, just 2 of them. Martin Armstrong and Tim Miller. Everyone else is still circulating on the racetrack. 14 cars on the lead lap. We have got ourselves Eric Davis, Mal McBride, and Dave Jinks all scored laps down in this event. Meanwhile, Christian Manson trying to make a pass on Pierre Bourdon. I think he's lost out to Pierre Bourdon actually. Right on board with Christian Manson in that Vortex Sim Racing car. And of course, Martin Nagel-Kirkin is right behind as well. Now, of course, the last time that Nagel-Kirkin got himself past Christian Manson, in the next corner, he pretty much threw it into the gravel. But here is Martin Nagel-Kirkin again. Is he going to look down to the inside? The answer's going to be yes, he is. Here he comes. And Nagel-Kirkin gets that pass nice and cleanly done there into the China bend. Thankfully, this time by it does look as though that Nagel-Kirkin isn't going to have any of the issues that he had the last time he made his way past Christian Manson. So then, getting ourselves closer to our first round of pit stops here in the ISOWC IndyCar Series, powered by And Warner Design. We're going to step aside for just a couple of moments, and then we'll be back with continuing coverage of this, the 12th round of the 2014 ISOWC IndyCar Series. We will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to continuing coverage of the 12th round of the ISOWC IndyCar Series from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at Will Vincent, Facebook as well, facebook.com/I am Will Vincent, and you can follow us, RaceSpotTV, at RaceSpotTV as well. Joshua Chin now leads the way in this event. He has been able to get himself up a little bit of a lead since that last round of pit stops. That gap is now up to 3.9 seconds on the racetrack. Joshua Chin is flying right now. We're going to spend a lap on board of him. Lap number 37 scored complete then for Joshua Chin. There you see him in that Banshee Auto Sports car. There you see the gap behind to Michael Dinkel. 4 seconds it is right now on the racetrack. Dinkel, there he is in your shot there. He's still got a 24-second gap over his Vortex Sim Racing teammate of Dennis Garice. But Dinkel, for the first time this season on a road course, really is being outclassed. And this is not something we have expected to see at all this season. Just been absolutely dominant has been Michael Dinkel. The field has settled down a little bit. To give you an update on retirees, Mike Owen, Now McBride, Michael Armstrong, Tim Miller, all classified as out of the race as it stands right now. Timo Risignemi, by the way, has started to build up a bit of a gap to Randy Shinnerworth behind him. You can see that he is putting a bit of pressure, trying to close up to the rear of Nigel Marneef as well. As having a look forward now for Timo Risignemi, there you see Nigel Marneef ahead of him on the racetrack as they work themselves out the keyhole. And there you see at the rear of the shot is Randy Shenneworth, who is trying to get himself back into the mix after going off at the carousel just before he came onto pit road. Really hurt his chances of getting a top 5 in this event. Last time by, however, his fastest lap of a race, a 1 minute 11.142. Dennis Garice running himself in that third position. Haven't really talked much about him right now. Has got himself about a 15-second gap over Nigel Marneef, who we were just talking about there. And Garice is solidly running in that third position. Marneef, however, is now under attack from Timo Risignemi. That gap has really closed down that last lap. So having a look from the rear of Nigel Marneef right now. Marneef is about 45 seconds behind your overall race leader, and is not doing a bad job though, all things considered. That last lap for him at 1 minute 11.628. The question's going to be though, will Timo Risignemi start using some of his push to passes to try and get himself back ahead of Nigel Marneef, as we are now just under 20 laps to go in this event. So here they come down into the China Bends once again. Beautiful section of the racetrack. You can see the undulations, the twists and the turns here as they work themselves behind the trees. They'll come back into shot right about now. And there is Nigel Marneef as they continue their journey along on the racetrack underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge. They will come once again. And this is by far one of the best gaps battles that we've got on the racetrack right now. About 0.7 of a second it stands between Nigel Marneef and Timo Risignemi. Risignemi is putting the pressure on as they get closer and closer to the end of this event. I think this is one that we're going to have to stick with and come back to quite a lot over these remaining laps. Give you an update on the lap times. Last time by the way, Marneef did himself a 1 minute 11.5. Compare that to a 1 minute 11.2 for Timo Risignemi, 1:11.4 for Randy Shenworth. So there you see the top two of that. There you see Shenworth just in the background as they work themselves past the starting point for the race. There you see that white line there, back down towards the complex once again, and I think that Risignemi has got a good chance of getting himself into 4th place in this event, about as high as he's going to be able to go, however, because Dennis Grease is so far up the road. There's the view once again from Nigel Marneef's car. There's the gap. It is still about half a second on the racetrack. Now, we know how hard it can be to pass here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. We saw it with Joshua Chim a little bit earlier on in this event, that you really have got to hammer that car along the racetrack as these cars come past the start-finish line once again. There you see both of them in quick succession as they work themselves down on towards this second straightaway once again. And that is a good thing. You see that Risignemi is a lot closer all of a sudden, potentially lining up a pass. Here he comes, down to the inside, not quite going to be close enough. You see, having to get out of the throttle, and that is going to allow Nigel Marneef to hold on for another lap. We'll get ourselves a replay of that. So here they were, out of turn number 1. Risignemi was a little bit stronger. You see, he tried to put that car down to the inside, very late lunge, having to get on the brakes, locking up a little bit there. Risignemi wasn't able to get the job done, but he did try from that far back on the racetrack. We stay on board with Timo Risignemi in that number 5 car. You can see he's still putting that pressure on to Marneef in that battle for the 4th place on the racetrack. There you see Marneef at the front of your shot. Then you see Timo Risignemi, and they are dropping Shenworth now. The gap between Risignemi and Shenworth is now up to 3 seconds on the racetrack. So Shenworth is the one who lost out the most in that sequence of pit stop as they come down into the keyhole once again. There you see the two drivers as they work themselves out of the keyhole, working themselves down the back straight away. I don't think Risignemi is that close. In fact, he is a little bit closer. If he gets on the bottom, this could be a chance for Risignemi, but I think that the two are going to stay line astern unless it's going to be a late lunge down to the inside. There is a late lunge down to the inside. Risignemi, is he going to make it stick? The answer is going to be they're going to stay side by side. Great racing here between these two, but Risignemi going a little bit wide. Then he'll have the inside line back into the next corner. Side by side racing for a couple of corners, but Nigel Marneef comes out on top. Here is the replay then. Risignemi and Nigel Marneef working themselves down towards the trying to bend, and now you'll see Risignemi just diving down to the inside. They just got themselves a little bit hot on the brakes there. They stayed side by side throughout the entire course of the trying to bend, and Risignemi tries to make a second late lunge down into the next corner, gets himself a little bit sideways, and there you see Nigel Marneef thankfully just able to pull out ahead. No contact, great racing between those two drivers. So they stay as they are for another lap. There is Nigel Marneef. There is Timo Risignemi. He's going to have another go. He's a little bit further back this time, but I wouldn't expect him to have a lunge. Yeah, he is a lot further back. Not on the button this time either. So these two continue their tete-a-tete. Nigel Marneef going a little bit wide. Is Risignemi going to try and stick it on the outside? The answer to that is no. But I tell you what, this is a great battle we have now for P4 on the racetrack. Great battles we have here as we now look from the rear on Nigel Marneef. And what he's actually done in the space of 1.5 laps, Shenworth is back into the mix. He's gained 1.5 seconds over these guys in the last 2 laps alone as Risignemi tries to force it down the inside into the carousel. Not going to be close enough here. Things getting a little bit heated now with less than 20 laps to go here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. And you're going to think that these guys are going to really be using their push to passes now, because Randy Chenoweth is getting back into the mix, and if Chenoweth gets there, we're going to have an amazing three-car fight. Chenoweth potentially could come out the victor if he has got enough pushes to pass left. We'll go back on board once again. Let's have a look at the speed for Isinyemi. Not on the button this time. Meanwhile, out front, Joshua Chin has now got himself a 7.6 second advantage over Michael Dinkle in that battle for the race lead. Joshua Chin is flying right now on the racetrack. To run through your top 5, it's Joshua Chin leading the way from Michael Dinkle. Dinkle in that second place. He's got a 27-second gap over Dennis Gariz, who runs himself in that 3rd position. There is Dennis Gariz as he's working himself down towards the keyhole one more time. And then 4th place is Nigel Waneve, still in that battle with Timo Isinyemi. Isinyemi rounds out your top 5 with now just a 1-second cushion over Randy Chenoweth. Great aerial shot, really puts that one in perspective, and you can see that Isinyemi getting a good run out of the keyhole once again. Not quite close enough to try and make the lunge, but he might be on the button. Let's have a look. Is he on the bottom? Does look as though he's got some good speed, up to 180 miles an hour down into the China bend. Not quite close enough, however, to make a lunge like he did a couple of laps ago. Marneef, let's not forget, did really struggle at the end of that first run. So the more pressure Isinyemi puts on Marneef, the more chance there is of Marneef's tyres going off, and then potentially both him and Chenoweth being able to get past the driver who drives the Club Benelux in that Magnus machine. So this is by far the best battle we have got on the racetrack. Robert Grosser, by the way, is involved in a battle with Benjamin Gregory for 7th place on the racetrack. Will he look down to the inside? Not this corner, but Gregory goes wide. This is going to allow Robert Grosser to get the run out of the corner. If he's going to get on the button now, it'll be a good time to do so. Looking down to the inside as they come through the kink, leaving a little bit of room there, Gregory. And there you see Grosser with that push to pass, just a breezing pass as they work themselves down into China Bend. Robert Grosser up into 7th place on the racetrack. A good pass there by Robert Grosser to move himself up one position. Let's go back to this brawling battle that we have. Isinyemi not quite close enough that time, but there's a little bit of traffic coming into play here as well. That will be Dave Jinks. Now this could be a really interesting one. As you can see, when I have a look from the rear of Dave Jinks, he has got himself some damage to that car. Rear ring is a little bit bent up, and he's got 3 guys all hounding for position. Could be a big difference maker here as we're looking from the rear. Dave Jinks, that number 76 Broken Arrow car. Oh, close one here. Dave Jinks is going to let them pass though, so they will continue their battle. Will Chenoweth get past as well? The answer to that one is yes, he will. But what that has done is look at the gap now as they work back down into turn number 1. Timo Isinyemi, that gap to Nigel Waneve is just literally about 4 tenths of a second on the racetrack as they work themselves down into the keyhole once again. Lunge there by Isinyemi. Gets a very good run out the corner though this time. This will be the chance. If he wants to get on the button, he's going to have the chance to do so. He'll get himself a good slipstream down this back straightaway. Let's have a look at the speed. Up to 180 miles an hour again. Will he try and lunge it down the inside? Late braking, not quite close enough. Marneef brakes late as well. Isinyemi just pushes a little bit wide. These two will continue their battle. And Chenoweth has lost out a little bit there. There you see Chenoweth. We're right on board with him. You can see those two just dancing on the racetrack ahead of him. Chenoweth in that new World Sim Sport car. It does look as though he might have eaten up too much of his tyres just to get himself back into contention. Chenoweth is falling away. He's almost a minute now behind your race leaders as well. So the battle continues between Marneef and Isinyemi. All of the other battles have kind of calmed down. Gross has now got himself about a 1.4 second advantage over Benjamin Gregory. There is Gregory up on your screen, down now into the 8th position on the racetrack. And there you see Robert Grosser in that Vortex sim racing car as well. But here is Isinyemi once again. He's going to have a look. There's a little bit of lap traffic. Now this could be an interesting one. We'll go on board one more time with Isinyemi. Again, not quite close enough, I don't think, to make a pass. It does look as though he's going to be a lot closer. Here he comes. Down to the inside. He's on the limiter. Down to the inside he goes. Nigel Marneef is so strong on that outside line. But Timo Isinyemi this time, if he can get this one correct, he might just be able to get the job done. Nigel Marneef on that outside line. He's just been so strong there. Once again, holding it off from Nigel Marneef. Holding it off, Nigel Marneef holding off Timo Isinyemi. They continue their battle. And now you see, again, Randy Shenworth right back there in the mix. Isinyemi was on the button that time and wasn't able to get the job done. There is a little bit of lap traffic ahead of them, which did give a little bit of help to Nigel Marneef in getting a little bit of a tow. 10 laps to go in this event. And it's Eric Davis. There you see him on your screen. Scored right now in the 11th place on the racetrack, and there you can see, having a look on board of him, he is going to have a huge gaggle of cars trying to come past him in just a couple of moments time. There is Isinyemi. There is Nigel Marneef, and this is a very close one once again. On board with Isinyemi one more time. Will he get that job done? Down to the inside he will go. Not quite. Now Isinyemi thinking about the outside line into the next corner. Will he try and do the cut under? They're going to be side by side. But no, not quite Isinyemi. But here it is. You're having a look from the rear now of Isinyemi. Randy Shenworth is right there in that mix as well. Just 4 tenths of a second. Shenworth smells a bit of blood now. He knows how hard that Isinyemi and Marneef have been running. If he's got anything left on his tyres, now could be the chance for Randy Shenworth to pounce. The past start-finish line, they will come. There is less than 9 laps to go in this event. It is still Joshua Chin leading the way as they work themselves down towards turn number 2 on the racetrack once again. Your biggest losers and winners in this race so far. Something's happened to Isinyemi there. He's going a little bit wide. This is now going to allow Shenworth to have a run down on his inside. There you see Shenworth, and you can see that Isinyemi's on the button trying to defend from this, but here comes Randy Shenworth down to his inside, who will have the line down into trying to bend. Isinyemi tries breaking a little bit later, but Randy Shenworth moves himself up 1 position. Isinyemi has to give him the line there. Shenworth getting a little bit loose on the outside part of that corner. Almost a little bit of contact there. Isinyemi losing out, and that all started down at the keyhole. Let's get ourselves a replay. So this was it, down into the keyhole. You see a little bit of contact, I think, there, Isinyemi, which then pushes him wide. And then you'll see Shenworth now down to the inside. It's a drag race down at this back straightaway. And you can see these two guys running themselves side by side. Shenworth on the left-hand side and Isinyemi on the right-hand side. And then it looks as though, yes, it is, Shenworth able to get that job done. But that all started, and we'll try and go on board with Timo Isinyemi. Sorry, we just lost something there with our cameras. But let's have a look with Timo Isinyemi riding on board with him. This is from turn number 1. You see, he gets right up to the rear of Nigel Marneef and then coming down into the keyhole. This is where that big moment is. You'll just see now, late onto the brakes, he goes, he doesn't make contact, almost making contact, but then that is what allowed Shenworth to try and make that pass alongside him. There was Shenworth, and there's that drag race down the back straight away. Isinyemi on the button, trying to hold on. Shenworth thinking, I'll go on the button as well. Side by side racing down into the China bend. Isinyemi brakes later, but it's not going to stop him. Shenworth able to get that job done on the inside line. So then, 7 laps to go in this event, and it is Nigel Marneef now, has got himself a cushion over Randy Shenworth. Whilst those two are fighting, it's back up to 2.5 seconds on the racetrack. So, Marneef actually is able to gain dramatically in that battle. I see Chenoweth has actually got Eric Davis now, the lap car just ahead of him on the racetrack. Chenoweth is going to try and go past him, probably on this run down to the China bend, keeping an eye on Randy Chenoweth, and they see Eric Davis just running the inside line to allow Chenoweth to go past him. Gonna go on the outside then as they work themselves down into China bend. There you see Davis just giving him the line, not going to try and race him, knowing he is down and out in this race for all intents and purposes. Chenoweth making that pass, making it nice and easy. Let's check in then with your race leader. There is your race leader. He has lapped everyone up to P6 in this event. Joshua Chin is having a drive like no other today in that Banshee Autosport number 93 car. Underneath the Westfield Insurance Bridge, he will come. There'll be 5 laps to go this time by, and Joshua Chin now has, get this, a 9.3 second gap over Michael Dinkel. We said that maybe Dinkel might be able to save his pushes to pass, save his tyres, and come back towards the end of this event. I think it's almost insurmountable now, unless there's any issues with Joshua Chin. This is pretty much his race now to win, as he's pulling away from Michael Dinkel with each and every lap. Last time, actually, it was a 1 minute 10.8 for Joshua Chin. His fastest of the race, a 1 minute 10.052. Compare that to Michael Dinkel's. Again, Dinkel's fastest lap of the race, only a 1 minute 10.4. Running consistently now, about the same times as Chin, however, in that 1 minute 10 bracket. It does seem to be that just Dinkel didn't get any speed out of that car at the start of the run. Having a look down the field just a little bit. We're going to run through your field very quickly. We said Joshua Chin, we talked about him already. He has been leading this race ever since that one and only round of pit stops. And you see he's just coming up behind lap traffic now of Eric Davis, put him a lap down. Expect to see Davis just go down to the left-hand side. There's Joshua Chin. Going to get that line he needs into turn number 1. And there he is. Joshua Chin continues on his way. Now, with just 4 laps to go in this event. Second place, Michael Dinkel, up against a bit of lap traffic as well. That is Dave Jinks ahead of him, who he's going to get past in just 1 moment's time. There you see him, just going past Dave Jinks. Nice, easy pass down into the keyhole. Of course, Jinks has a little bit of damage. Dinkel, however, able to get past without any issue, continues along his way, but being outraced on a road course for the first time, really, this season in the ISOWC. Third place is Dennis Garis, best lap for his race, a 1 minute 10.9. Really hasn't had the pace for either Dinkel or Chin here today, but that number 16 car has got a clear advantage over Nigel Marneef, who runs in that 4th position. The gap between himself and Randy Chenoweth has come down to about 1.8 seconds again on the racetrack, and you can just see that last time by, a 1 minute 11.9 for Nigel Marneef, a 1 minute 11.8 for Randy Chenoweth. As they come past the start-finish line, we'll keep you updated on their times. And so going to do that just now. Big wiggle there for Chenoweth. That's going to hurt his time dramatically. And it was a 1:11.1 there for Nigel Marneef, for 1:11.1 also for Chenoweth. But Timo Sinyemi runs in that 6th position, losing out, of course, after he went through the keyhole, got himself a little bit wide, and Randy Chenoweth was able to get past him. Robert Grosser, he runs in that 7th place right now on the racetrack. Was able to get past Benjamin Gregory about 10 laps ago. Pulled out about a 3.5 second advantage over Gregory right now. Gregory runs himself in the 8th place on the racetrack in that 613 car. And he's got himself about a 3-second cushion over Martin Nagel-Kirkin. Here is Martin Nagel-Kirkin now coming down into the China Bend. Well, look at it, yeah, just coming over the crest down towards the China Bend in that number 82 car. Of course, he's had a couple of spins, a couple of offs here in this event, running himself in the 9th position, and then rounding out your top 10. Christian Manson in the number 6 Vortex Sim Racing car, and he is about 10 seconds behind Nagel-Kirkin right now on the racetrack. Last 2 guys scored as running. Eric Davis, here is him. He's struggling a little bit. Scored now 3 laps down, 4 laps down even, in this race. And then Dave Jinks round out the guys who are still running. 12 guys still running in this event. Dave Jinks is the last of them. He is scored in the 12th position. The retirees, Michael Thompson, Pierre Bourdon, Mikel De Jong, Mike Owen, Now McBride, Michael Armstrong, and Tim Miller. So then, for Joshua Chin, coming up now behind Randy Chenoweth. Going to look down to his inside as they come down into China Bend. Nice easy pass there for Joshua Chin, getting that job done. A lap and a half left for him to go in that King of Chins Productions Banshee Autosport number 93 car, powered by JDR Graphics. Working himself up the hill, down towards the Westfield Insurance Bridge one more time for him. So he comes through the carousel. Joshua Chin for Banshee Autosport. He's got himself an 8.1 second advantage over Michael Dinkel. He has been working through some traffic. Got one more car piece of lap traffic to deal with. Ladies and gentlemen, this time by the white flags in hand. One more lap to go. That's Nigel Marneef there, who is under pressure now for being put a lap down by Joshua Chin. If I was Nigel Marneef, I might consider just being lapped here, just to make it a little bit less painful. Of course, he has got Chenoweth with a cushion right now, so if Joshua Chin stays where he is on the racetrack, and you see, there he is, just allowing Chin to go past, thinking, you know what, I've got enough of a gap, I don't need to worry too much. I think I need to be able to go to the end of this event without having to worry about doing another tour of the 2.25 mile racetrack. But Joshua Chin now, just a handful of corners left for him to go as he works himself now down towards the Westfield Insurance Bridge for the final time. There he comes, just the carousel and a couple of corners left to go for Banshee Autosports number 93 car of Joshua Chin. All season long on the road courses, it has been Michael Dinkel who has led the way. Not today. Joshua Chin breaks his stranglehold, becomes only the second winner on a road course this season in the ISOWC IndyCar Series. Here is Michael Dinkel, his first defeat on a road course, coming home in the second place. Waiting now for Dennis Garice. Here he is, working himself on the back end of the racetrack. We're right on board with Dennis Garice with just 1 moment's time underneath the Westfield Insurance Bridge. He will come. Couple of corners left to go for Dennis Garice as he tries to make it third place in this event for that number 16 car. Now just working himself through the carousel for the final time. One more corner to go. Dennis Garice rounds out your podium here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Scored a lap down, so therefore he's already finished the event. Nigel Marneef comes home in the 4th position. There you see as well, Randy Chenoweth coming home in 5th. Isinyemi, Grosser, Benjamin Gregory, Michael Kirkin, and Christian Manson round out your top 10. But here is your race winner, Joshua Chin, claiming victory in this, the 12th round of the ISOWC IndyCar Series, and confirmation of your results. There you have it then, Joshua Chin claiming victory from Michael Dinkel by 8.5 seconds when all was said and done. Dennis Garice coming home in the 3rd place, Nigel Marneef in 4th, Randy Chenoweth in 5th, Timo Isinyemi, Robert Grosser, Benjamin Gregory, Martin Nagel-Kirkin, and Christian Mansoon round out your top 10. Then, to move on to page number 2, Davis, Jinks, Thompson, they're the guys who finish this race. Then you've got Pierre Bourdon, Michael De Jong, Mike Owen, Now McBride, Michael Armstrong, and Tim Miller. Gonna step aside for just 1 moment's time as Joshua Chin does the reverse finish to this event. We'll be right back after this short message.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
So then, the victory donuts for Joshua Chin, claiming victory in the 12th round of the ISOWC IndyCar Series from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course, becoming the first person other than Michael Dinkel to win an event on a road course this season. We'll run through and confirm your final race results in just one moment's time. But Joshua Chin, welcome to ISOWC Victory Lane.
Thank you. It's I honestly wasn't expecting this today, but race went really well, and I don't know, that was nice to have a good race, especially after yesterday wrecking out in the official SOF. Able to come back.
Well, yeah, and you talking about that, it was a tough race for you yesterday, but you did have a lot of practice coming into today, as we're just seeing you there doing the reverse victory lap on a road course. First time I've seen that one in a while, but you've done a lot of practice for this, and of course, it's the first round of the ISOWC in the DW12 on a road course. It did seem to be that it was tough to overtake despite push to pass.
Yeah, there were not a lot of spots you could pass, and I think I ran into an issue where my car is set up and it has a little bit more straight line speed than most people, so the push to pass doesn't really end up affecting me much. And I just rode behind Michael for half the race because I knew once we got to battling, we were going to get guys back up to us, and there was no point battling early, so just wait it out and hope for pit stops and see how that played out.
You say hope for pit stops. You're able to go one lap longer than Dinkel. You were a little bit shorter on the fuel stop as well. Did you actually take more fuel than what you had? Was it just a strategy call, I'm coming in now? Or were you actually running it down to the very end of the tank when you came in?
I was just running it down to the very end. I didn't have much fuel left. I think I had maybe 2 or 3 tenths of a gallon left when I got in. So I couldn't have run it much longer. And that little bit of fuel saving I was able to do really, really helped with being able to take less gas and come out ahead of Michael.
And then, of course, once you did get ahead of Michael, you were able to pull away. Were you surprised at actually how much you were able to pull away in that second stint?
Yeah, I didn't realize just how off the pace he would be, and I don't think he was that far off in the first stint, so it makes me wonder if he changed fuel maps or something, thinking that he didn't take enough gas in the stop or something, because I don't know, it's weird. I wasn't expecting to pull a, 8, 9 second gap through the course of that last run.
And again, you are the first person other than Michael Dinkle to win on a road course this season in the ISOWC. And I mean, that's got many different connotations for you, of course. Recuperation for the soft failure of yesterday, good speed as we head towards the back end of the ISOWC season, and of course, trying to get yourself a bit of better luck as we get closer and closer to the 16th Street Racing League for 2014.
Yeah, hopefully, 16th Street, even the SOF races roll around and keep this form, then I'll feel pretty good about it. Hopefully no video card failures this season in the second to last race. And, yeah, see if I can get the title that just a little short on last year.
Well done. Claiming victory in that number 93 Banshee Auto Sports car. Is there anyone who you'd like to say thank you to?
Big thank to everyone at Banshee Autosport. Also, Randy Chenoweth helped me a ton with the setup this week. JDR Graphics. Oh, there's a lot of people. Open Wheel Now. They're out at Mid-Ohio this weekend covering the race. You should check them out.
There we are.
RaceSpot. RaceSpot's a big one. And I'm sure I'm forgetting someone else, but I'll remember in other races.
Joshua Ching claiming victory here today at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course for Banshee Autosport in that number 93 car. I'm going to have a chat as well with Randy Chenoweth, who came home in the 5th place. I'm going to ask you a question, Randy. After all of the insults you make to Hugo Louise about pit stops, what the hell was that?
I was looking at my fuel number that came through the last corner and locked the front tires. The thing is I had enough fuel to get to the end. That's something Hugo hasn't figured out yet.
So you get yourself your pit stop sorted out. We'll talk about that one. But it was very close racing overall between you guys on the racetrack here today. Having some great battles with Timo Isiniemi and also with Nigel Marneef. Very intense, and actually as Isiniemi and Marneef started battling at the towards the end of this event, really helped you in your charge to try and get yourself to the rear of them again, and it got very close for you being able to get 4th place at one point.
Yeah, I was running in front of both of them. It was me and Timo who were basically gearbox to nose cone for the first stint. And then I had my slip up entering the pits, which was my mistake, and I was like, crap. And then from there, I knew I had to save a little bit in order to make it. It was close on fuel, but it wasn't like real bad. I had to kind of lightly save for about 5 laps or so, which is where I lost all that time. I think Emo's probably saved a bunch while he was in my draft the first stint, and Nigel probably did the same, but I don't think he saved it all the second stint. And that's where I lost all the time. And then from there, they got real close to each other and were racing each other, and that's how I was able to make up that 5-second gap. Passing Timo, I think going into the keyhole, either Nigel broke a little earlier than Timo expected, or Timo tried to set himself up with a real wide entry and then real tight exit out of the keyhole to get a good run down that back straight. But I ended up slipping inside of him before he could get his run. Kind of like a dick, but oh well. And managed to hold it going through the S's, but which was great for me. And I think he had a little slip up about a lap after that. And then from there, it was just me trying to chase down Nigel, which I wasn't able to do.
How useful was push to pass you in this race? Of course, passing is always moderately difficult at Mid-Ohio, but did the button help you at all?
Oh, it helped me a lot. When I actually passed Timo, I spun the tires a little bit, and the moment I got traction, I actually slammed right on the push to pass. And I think that's what probably let me get by him. I'm not sure if he did or not. I don't think he used it the entire first stint, because he just sat about 5 tenths of a second off my gearbox the entire first stint. He didn't really poke his nose or anything. So I assume he had 10. I'm not sure if he hit it or if I just had a better run into where even though he did hit it, it just didn't matter. So, but it was definitely pretty useful. I think for if you were tight in traffic. It's not like you're given a position. It's not like a huge speed increase, but it's definitely enough to where it makes passing way easier and makes for way more interesting racing, I think.
2 weeks time, Milwaukee, you gonna be there?
Probably I'll have to try to figure out how to sling one of these oval setups together, but I'll just carry Josh and some Counter-Strike, and he'll have to thank me for helping me with the setup.
Anyone who you'd like to say thank you to?
Thank you to my teammates at New World Simsport, and we'll be at the 24-hour race you're putting together. See you, or thank you to Josh Chin as well for the help with the setup. He says I helped him, but I think it was a little bit more him helping me. Thank you to Martin for being, or Marcin for being Marcin, and thank you for Will Vincent for being the egotistical maniac that you are.
Yes, and thank you as well for calling me an egotistical maniac and actually being able to get away with it. So, Randy Chenoweth coming
you won't
home.
let me get away with it.
No, I'll get my hair back at some point. Chenoweth coming home in the 5th spot here today. Super slow-mo. The guy doing the donuts, Joshua Chin. Confirmation of your final race results then. It is Chin who comes home in 1st place here today. An 8.5 second gap when all is said and done over Michael Dinkle. 2nd place is Michael Dinkle. 3rd place is Dennis Garis. And then 4th place is Nigel Money. 5th place, Randy Chenoweth. And then Timo Siniemi, Robert Grosser, Benjamin Gregory, Martin Nagel-Kirkin, and Christian Manson round out your top 10. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the next round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series takes place in 2 weeks' time at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Coverage of that starts at 1:30 p.m. GMT here on RaceSpotTV. Don't forget as well, we've got ourselves more IndyCar action coming your way in just a couple of days' time as the Friday night iRacing.com IndyCar Road Series moves to Watkins Glen International. So join us for that. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. GMT for that. In the meanwhile, congratulations to Joshua Chin taking victory here today at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the ISOWC Indy Grand Prix of Ohio, powered by and One Design. To myself, Will Vincent, we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.